Hi, and welcome to this slightly different video about Microsoft Agent Framework. In that, I'm gonna make a tier list on what I use and what I don't use in the framework. So it's not the quality of the feature, but more how do I use it? Do I always use the feature? Do I sometimes use it? Have I considered using it? Have I never seen the need? And something I would not use in general. This came about because of a few comments I have had on various things, how I use them in production, and sometimes I don't use something in production. So again, it's how I use it, not the quality of the feature. And also one more thing is I never do chatbots. All my AI features are behind the scenes things that are reacting to webhooks, running on schedules most of the time. So some of these simply doesn't make sense in those cases, and that would be the why I have never seen the need. So had I been working on chatbots all the time, I would definitely have a different list. But let's just get to it and see if this brings any value. So these are just random over here, and I found all these based on all my videos up on the channel. Because the way I normally work is that in order for me to even begin to use something, I need to first know what it is. So the way you see my videos is also how I learn the feature. So I normally sit down, learn the feature, make a video about it. That doesn't mean then that I have tested it in production for a long time or anything. Some of them goes into production, others I will have never ever used since I made the video. And I'm not an expert, but at least I have given you a high-level overview so you can consider using it or not. So that's the premise of this. So let's get going. The first one we have is multi-agents, meaning that you take multiple agents and chain them together, have an intent agent, and then let others do stuff or make one agent into a tool of another. I sometimes use this, but not very often. I do the intent agent a lot, but not the agents as tools. So I think we should put it up and make sense sometimes. Then we have RAG out of the box. RAG out of the box meaning the thing you can upload a bunch of PDFs into OpenAI or Azure OpenAI, and they will RAG it for you, also called their file system. I would never ever use this. I want to have full control over my RAG, where I put it, how I do the embedding and stuff like that. So to me, this is a no-go. I don't want to do it that way. If you're in a hurry, it might make sense, but I want to have the full control. So I'll put it down here. Agent session. It is very, very rare that I need to have a conversation because, again, it's not a chatbot. So I probably need to put it down in never seen the need. Of course, this channel is a need, of course, but in real life production code, I guess we could say I make it sometimes because I have made something where people could ask follow-up questions, but it's very, very rare. And I'll put in Azure Functions as a way of hosting it. I have done that a few times, mostly in private setups. In production setups, I have access to full servers and paid plans, so there I of course use those, but else it's a decent way of hosting agents. Chat history. I have never seen the need so far in saving a previous chat and restoring it again. Again, because I'm not a chatbot guy, I do things behind the scenes, and there's no one to get that history for anyway. So let's put it down there. Same goes for image generation. There's not had the need to generate image on the fly. It's a cool feature and it works, but I've never had the need. OpenTelemetry is a sore thing. I think I should put it in consider it, because I made some audit and stuff, but it has always been custom so far. I should just begin to use OpenTelemetry, but I'm not good at doing audits and stuff, but I should definitely do it more when we have a open format for logging and stuff like that. MCP in consuming them, it makes sense sometimes. It's very, very rare that I do it, because I often just have an API for the same features, and I want to have more control than the MCP itself, because the MCPs I consume is often the MCPs I create on my own. So it is down the list of makes sense sometimes, but I have done it. Image understanding goes down with image generation. I haven't had the need to look at images. That's actually not true. I made a feature about being able to look into images inside PDFs. I ended up not doing it, but I definitely considered it back then, trying to figure out if a PDF could not be read as text, what's in that as a text. Reasoning, I always use it. I'm almost only using reasoning models nowadays. ChatGPT 5 minis and normal ChatGPTs. I sometimes use 4.1 still, but reasoning is definitely a thing, and I definitely go in and tweak it. It often goes down to low in certain scenarios instead of the default medium. Batching, I have considered it. Batching is just a little hard to get around, and in the price range that my workloads are, yes, getting it half the price could be nice, but it's probably often not worth the hassle of sitting and waiting for it extra. So I think it should be considered, but actually not implemented. But definitely go higher than image understanding. Brand new CodeAct and Hyperlight, where we can chain or make the AI do coding instead of execute code and as tools and stuff like that. I see the idea. I need to probably put it down here into never seen the need yet, mostly because also it's like brand new 2 days ago it came out. I might end up considering it in certain cases where I have a lot of tools, but I often don't have too many tools in my agents, so it might just be overkill trying to use it. Then we have Tune, which is this object notation, different file format. I considered it at some point where I had a tool that needed to return a lot of data, but it didn't really help in that situation, and in all other situations it was still too much data, so I needed to find a different way of doing things. So while it was smaller, it couldn't fit the need. I'm very afraid that other AI agents reading my tools and getting them in, if they are good enough at reading Tune. So far it's only been to the considering phase here. Prompt engineering goes to the top, in that, of course, I always put in instructions to my agents. An agent will never live without an instruction in some capacity, and my instructions are put in often from a database, so they can be on the fly changed by the end users. So definitely goes into always use. Structured output absolutely goes first. Structured output is my most favorite feature in the entire agent framework, and I use it like 90% of all my calls to LLM is actually a structured output. Again, had I made chatbots, there would be more, but without structured output, none of the features I make in production would not work. So structured output is by far what I use the most, so it needs to go first. On-the-fly tool calling, as cool as it is, where you set up an AI context provider and on the fly check what tools should be called, because I haven't that many tools in my agents, I think it should go into consider it. I was very, very close to using it a few weeks ago, but I ended up not doing it because it was just too big of an overhead, where I saved like 100 or 200 tokens, and that was not enough for the overhead of doing that. But it's a really, really cool feature. Creating MCPs. I can't say that I make an MCP for every single little thing I do, but it's close. So I think, should probably go below multi-agents, but I tend to make MCP servers on the fly very, very quickly because it is so easy to do. So I've made multiple of them, but of course not in every single scenario. Speech to text. I use it a little in. I use it in the YouTube videos I make, or I have a little tool that can do it for me. So I take the videos here and turn them into captions because YouTube's auto captions are not good enough. So in that regards, I use them, but it's not for every single use case. Speed to speech, I have considered it, but often the people I make my features for sit in open business environments, and we can't really speak to agents. So I think it needs to go down here into considered, but not practical in day-to-day life. Memory, again, an AI context provider way of adding memory, remembering a user's certain preferences. Again, because it's not chatbots I make, I haven't used it. Had I made chatbots, I would definitely make memory. So let's put it at the top of the never seen the need, but again, because of chatbots, not used it. DevUI, this demo feature that is in the box of Agent Framework, is probably the one that needs to be the lowest in all of this. It is absolutely useless other than a cool demo, but you cannot use it in production for anything at all. So I don't see the value at all. AGUI, I am not using it in production yet, but I'm very, very close to actually trying it out in some production scenarios we are building at the moment. So this needs to go into consideration as a high, but it can go up into make sometimes until I actually get it in through real production. RAG, in that RAG you build yourself, definitely needs to go up in always use. Almost all of the features I make have RAG involved, but not every single one of them, so it probably is the last up here. But RAG is by far what I do the most. It's agents built on top of business data, built on custom data, and not just world knowledge. Tools need to go here. Still, prompt engineering and structured output are still more important to have, but tools definitely is, of course, up there. Tools to search and drag, tools to go out and grab things and stuff like that. Chat reducers, again, because I don't really do that much agent session and such like that, so I think I need to put it down into consider. Oh, that's actually not right. I do a little chat reducing in one scenario, so let's put it here. Agent skills. If we were talking codecs and agentic coding, it would definitely be up here. But in code scenarios, I need to put it down into never seen the need. Skills are good. Skills are a cool way of doing things, but it's easier to make tools. And for the scenarios I have, I just make tools. Yes, they are a bit more expensive, but not by much when you do tools that are simple. So for that reason, I think I need to say I have never seen the need so far. Agent Framework Toolkit. Well, given that I'm the one making it, which is this set of NuGet packages on top of it, it definitely needs to go here. And essentially everything I have up in production is written by Agent Framework Toolkit instead of raw. So it's only really on this channel that I do it using normal clients and stuff like that. I think it needs to go, yeah, it's technically used everywhere. But in terms of importance, given the fact that I could write them without, I think I'll still need to put these three on top. Agent to agent, it's cool, but since MCP servers exist, I have never seen the need so far. The extra value they bring and multiple agents calling each other is cool, but I've never seen the need so far. So it probably needs to go down here. I just put in semantic kernel just for reference that Agent Framework had a predecessor. I won't use it anymore. It's not like because I hate it or anything, but I can't see ever a scenario where I would write something in semantic kernel instead of Agent Framework anymore. Service tiers from OpenAI, where we can do priority, or we can go and do the flex that are slower but cheaper. I have used it a little, and I want to use it a bit more because, again, everything that runs behind the scenes doesn't really matter if it's a little slower. So I could set it up to be flex for most things. So I think it should go up here, something like that. Workflows. Well, I have an entire video about never seen the need, so it definitely needs to go in that area. Everything workflows can do, I feel I can do better in code. See the video dedicated about that if you want to have more information about that. But I simply feel that they give more complexity for the same amount of code I can write very, very easily. So they need to go down there. Offline models, same. I want the best. I want something that can do things for me, and I don't want to have machines in basement that are something that have my production code on it. I would perhaps say I've considered it because the things I do are not something that needs the big models often. So at some point it could make sense perhaps, but at the moment not. So let's put it in low considering. Text to speech, getting something read up for us. Haven't seen the need so far. Just my use cases, but let's put it here. AI context providers. I don't think I have any in production at the moment, but they're very, very cool, of course. So it's very close to on the fly because that's what I would probably use it for. Memory I would use it for. So let's put it here. This should probably be higher up. Code interpreters, where we let something run in Python up in the cloud. I will probably put it down to CodeAct and Hyperlight because it's essentially the same, where CodeAct is the local on-premise. And given the fact that they are actually quite expensive to run, expensive being relative, of course, I've not seen the need for them, so let's put them down here. And the same goes for web search. Again, what I'm doing is against custom RAG data and not live data or anything. So I have considered it, but it's not really something I can see a need for in my use cases. I could certainly have something that was dependent on, for example, the weather or anything else. Then now weather wouldn't even be tools. So, but still. Then we have a bunch of providers here at the end. So OpenAI as a provider. It makes sometimes sense. There's certain things in Azure OpenAI that doesn't work. So they should probably, it's difficult based on these. So I'll just put them at the front, because without the providers we can't do some of the other things. Google, I have considered them as a provider, but haven't taken the switch yet. OpenAI and Azure OpenAI is just such a good overall suite of models. I'm really, really good at prompt engineering in them. Google is interesting, but I haven't made the move, so let's put it in consider, but not done. Then we have Azure OpenAI or Foundry, and here we're talking direct models. So I almost put everything into Azure, and then only leave the few things that OpenAI, that Azure can't do. There's very few things nowadays. But I also have OpenAI as a fallback should Azure have some problems. Then I can fall back, or if I can't get enough rate limits up there, which is actually not the problem at the moment. Foundry as a provider of the persistent agents and all the rest of the things up there, guardrails and stuff like that. I think I will need to put it down here into I would never use. The way Foundry is behind every single day by 6 to 9 months in a new feature comes along, and they need to get through the corporate mill of Microsoft before it actually works up in Foundry, is not for me. I want to be in the latest, so I want the full control. So similar to RAG out of the box being so low and custom being so high, then Foundry here's a out of the box service for everything you need, very low, while direct models very high. let's take Anthropic before we take some of the others. Anthropic, well, I kind of hate Anthropic. I feel it's a very dishonest company doing very dishonest things. So, yeah, they need to go last. I would never go to them. I would definitely go to Google before I ever tried Anthropic, because they are just a very bad company to work with, it seems. OpenRouter as a provider, I have definitely considered it. So OpenRouter is this. There's many of them similar to OpenRouter, but they are just one of the good ones. In that you can get all the models. So yeah, definitely consider it, but haven't taken the jump other than in these videos. Amazon Bedrock, I would probably say never seen the need. It's not like I'm against Amazon Bedrock, but every time I'm in Azure, I understand what's going on. Every time I'm in Amazon AWS or Bedrock, everything is just odd to me. It just feels bad usability in the way everything works up in their portal. So yeah, could go down in the last one. And other providers, Mistral, XAI, Cerberus, and so on. Again, never seen the need for them. They're just worse models. Mistral being bad, despite it being Europe and stuff like that. Cerberus, no. Cohere and all the other ones, yeah, it definitely needs to go here. So as you can see, I use Azure OpenAI, and I do all the standard things, as you have also seen in my 90-minute video about the basic stuff, which is the chats, the structured output, the tools, and the RAG. And as I mentioned in those videos, that's like 90 to 95% of everything you need to do, and you can see that happening here. Sometimes, yeah, multi-agent, sometimes MCPs, service tiers, agent session, probably a little high, but still. And slowly be getting into more and more niche features. Considering, yeah, Google and other providers, but again, I'm sticking to OpenAI because it knows me, I know it. AGUI and context providers are really, really cool, but again, I have not had the need in production so far. Down to memory agent skills, all the things that would be in a chatbot, and then workflows. So it makes sense. They would jump instantly up to make sense sometimes, or even always use if I did make a lot of chatbots. And then things I would never ever use. Again, Foundry have just disappointed me. Could there be a time in a couple of years where AI have settled down and everything is rock solid? Yes, perhaps, but that's not near the case right now. RAG, I want full control. Semantic kernel, agent framework exists, so we don't need. And things like DevUI is no need at all. So that's why we have it down there. So that was it. So now you know sort of what I use and what I think about things. And again, I will continue making things that I might still throw down here. Because again, it is so important to know what a feature is. At some point, I didn't know what agent skills were. And that was not because I already knew I didn't have the need. It was simply because I didn't know. At some point, I didn't know what structured output was. And once I found out, it suddenly became my favorite feature. So it's still important to explore, still important to see what options we have, and then it's perfectly fine if you don't have the need for them. So it's not like if you see my channel and you can feel and you sit and use these features up here and feel bad that, oh, I should use more of this framework. No, it's just every tool have its place and thing. There's none of these I feel are misrepresenting or badly coded, other than Anthropic. But there's a need for everything in every use case, and sometimes the need is there, sometimes it's not. So, hope you found it beneficial, and see you in the next one.